episode 1, KID Astronaut Podcast, episode 1. This is Thomas Lopez.
What's up?
My very first guest. We're just about to get started in 1 minute. If you're watching us on Facebook, please send us questions in the comments. If you are watching us on Instagram, please go to my Facebook page where you can ask us both questions. Ryan Fu is over here. He is from the We Are Denver pod space, which is where we are right now, and he will be able to send us the questions that you guys ask. So please send them in. Let's get started.
All right.
So, Tomas, how long have we known each other?
I met you in 2001. So
and where was that?
It's been like 18 years that I've known you.
Yeah.
I met you at Denver School of the Arts. We were both vocal majors. And you know what's actually, I tell this story every time I think about you. Okay. When one of my first memories of John, it was me, John, Ebony Coleman,
yeah,
Ariel, I can't remember her last name. Ariel Kelly, yeah. Yes. And I want to say Shannon Patilla.
Okay. That sounds about right.
And Khalil Arkady.
Okay.
And we performed Do You Love Me in the British Invasion pop show. Yeah.
Was that your first year?
That was my I think might have been my 7th grade year.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, but we go way back, yo. We go way back.
That's almost like a different lifetime.
Total different. Literally, that was like feels like a century ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a different lifetime for me.
But how have you changed since that time?
Sorry.
No, that's cool. What do you feel like has been your biggest change?
Oh my god, you know what's crazy is actually I feel like I'm becoming more of who I used to be. Now that I'm getting older than ever. I remember when I was younger, I was just so immersed in my culture and so immersed in who I am that it was closer to that. And as I got older, I kind of drifted away, did my own thing, and found some other things that I was interested in that were more Western culture, pop culture. And now that after Standing Rock and after graduating from college, I really started more stepping into who I am as an Indigenous man, as a Two-Spirit man, and for me, it feels closer to what I was when I was younger, and more authentic to who I was when I was a kid, and how free I was in that sense.
So, obviously, I know you pretty well, but my followers, the Instagram people, the Facebook people, your friends who are watching, they might know a little bit about you, but can you please give us just like your bio, I guess, your thing?
So, Nian Petu Ashte, Yaat Ebene, Tlali Tlanensi. Good evening, everybody. Buenas noches for all my Spanish-speaking people. My name is Tomas Donatiu Lopez Jr. My father is Sundance Chief Thomas Lopez Sr., and my mother is Waterwoman Sharon Dominguez. My grandfather is Chief of Chiefs Leonard Crodog Sr., and I am an indigenous person to Turtle Island. My tribes come from, and my people ascend from places like the Mexica Otomi, the Apache, the Diné, and the Lakota people, specifically the Chichangu Oyate, which is the Great Burnthai Nation. And so I am the communications director for a group called the International Indigenous Youth Council. We are a group that was founded in Standing Rock, North Dakota, while we were fighting and defending our water against the construction of the Dakota Access Pipeline. We went through a lot of stuff while we were in Standing Rock. We experienced a lot of the brutality that people often equate to Standing Rock, but we also experienced a lot of healing and a lot of love there. So after coming back from Standing Rock, we have since moved into our own communities that we come from, and we've begun to bring what we were doing in Standing Rock to our communities and start to do the work that needed to be done, community to community. to back up, my parents are American Indian movement and Chicano movement activists. So I was raised in a very socially aware and socially conscious family and environment. I was also raised pretty traditionally. When I was at home, I would have our traditional drums and songs being sung, like when I'd go to sleep. And then I'd wake up and I'd kind of put on this like American mask, and I'd go to school. I'd go to DSA, and I learned. My parents, when they were involved and my grandfather were involved in Wounded Knee in 1974 when they were. It was a bunch of different American Indian movement leaders. My grandfather, Leonard Crow Dog, Leonard Peltier, who is what America considers their only prisoner of war, which, is not true, but that's a whole other story. Carter Camp, and a lot of different men from the American Indian movement. Casey Camp, who is Carter Camp's sister. And after all of that happened, they arrested Leonard Peltier. And a lot of those men, they got arrested and they really got blacklisted, similar to a lot of the communists during the communist era of the early 1900s. And so my parents, they kind of saw that. And so instead of continuing to directly fight, what they decided to do was infiltrate the system, is what they say. And they became public school teachers. And so my parents felt it was really important for me to learn my traditional ways, know who my people are, know where we come from, understand the true history of this country, but also know and educate myself in this system, because they knew that when I walked out into this world, I was going to be able to navigate. I was going to have to navigate that and be able to sift through this Western culture and find what is authentic and what is really going to work to move forward with. So that sent me into my graduation year, 2016. I graduated from Metro State University. So shout out MSU Denver. Anybody that's a Roadrunner, it's my alma mater.
I was a Roadrunner.
Yeah.
For like a year.
Yeah. Everyone, who didn't go to Metro? Like, seriously,
Yeah.
If you're from Denver, you went to Metro at least one semester.
Hey. It was tight.
Yeah, no, it was great. But I went there, I graduated, totally struggled my ass off in college, because just so any person of color knows, if school is hard for you, it's because it's meant to be hard for you. This system was not made for us. It was not made for people of color to succeed. It was not made for us to have an easy time and come out, scratch free. The public school system is a very, very oppressive system, and it has been. And just knowing these things. So I graduated from college, and I was gonna move. Honestly, I was gonna move to LA and try to make something out of speaking and doing the stuff that I was doing with the media and all my journalism and stuff like that. Didn't end up doing it, and then I ended up hearing about what was happening in South Dakota. So I felt an obligation as the son of a chief, as the grandson of the chief of chiefs, and also as a third, fourth, actually probably seventh generation activist. I felt an obligation or a calling to go and join the young people on the front lines in North Dakota, and that's where I met the Youth Council.
Nice. So you didn't start it here, the International Indigenous Youth Council?
No, the International Indigenous Youth Council was started, or the IIYC. So if we say IIYC, that's what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Was started in North Dakota. That's where I met them. And these these group of young people were from the Standing Rock Reservation, the Cheyenne River Reservation, and a couple of other different young people from the different reservations surrounding that area. And they were the ones who originally ran from North Dakota all the way to Washington, D.C., to ask President Obama to honor his word that he had given them a couple years prior, saying that he would do anything and everything to protect their way of life, to protect them, to honor the treaty that's in
that's been in play
the law.
Years,
that's the law of the land.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so that promise was broken, and they actually were, when they got to the steps of the White House, they weren't even allowed to come in. So they did their ceremony outside. They left the but they had a bag of letters and a petition. They left it there, and they actually ran all the way back to North Dakota. And when they came back is when they officially made the call to all nations, all young people to come, and you know, that it wasn't just an indigenous problem, that they were not just out there, you know, trying to save a bunch of land. They were trying to protect the drinking water of almost 50,000 people downstream. And of course, the people downstream are mostly black and brown people. And so they called all people to come in. And for the first time in over, you know, I think it was like 300 years, 300 tribes came together. Enemy tribes came together, and they put aside their feuds, and they made their own treaties to move forward in a good way, to actually speak for the earth and speak for the land and be the caretakers of the earth that we say that we are. Very specifically, it was brought to light the prophecy of the seventh generation and the black snake. So many moons ago, it was prophesied that one day a black snake would come to the land. That
being oil?
Well, this can actually be interpreted in many different ways. So it said that this black snake was going to infect the people. It was going to infect our minds, our bodies, our hearts, our spirits, our fire, our water, the four winds, and then the earth. And it would take it. And that it would be... And that, to me, that can be interpreted in so many different ways. You know, pipelines in the physical form of what we're doing to our Mother Earth. You know, my sister Erin Wise once told me that every time she sees them lay a layer of pipe in the ground, she's reminded of the day that she was raped. And what we're doing to the earth, we're doing to our women. And so it's really this really interesting way of understanding, like, even at a cellular level, what's really going on in humanity right now. I mean, our cancer levels are skyrocketing. They're the highest that they've ever been. You know, young people, younger and younger, experiencing what it's like to go through chemo. And, you know, it's becoming more of like a regular thing. You know, our run for breast cancer, our run for cancer awarenesses are just so, like, common thing, because now, like, even at a cellular level, what's happening to us is like happening on a larger level. What we're doing to our bodies, we're doing to our like people around us, what we're doing to the world, what we're doing to the earth. And so to me, that also takes form in the suicide rates in our communities. The black snake is taking our young people.
So what is the 7 generations? How does that come in?
And so that's actually the prophecy is that the 7th generation would be the generation to unite the 7 generations before and the 7 generations yet to come, and to actually take off the head of the black snake.
And that's something I learned from you as well. Like, I've been able to go to some of your, I don't know what you would call those.
We have a lot of different
traditions,
actions, ceremonies.
I like the word ceremonies.
Yeah.
Because it felt very like spiritually transformative. And you know, for me, I guess as a member of the black community, a lot of our traditions have been hidden and lost. And like, I think there's certain ways in which we like celebrate ourselves. Like, I was thinking about like, you know, the gangster culture and how they like pour liquor out for their homies. Mm-hmm. That's like libations in Africa, when they would like pour water on the ground for, you know, the ancestors.
Yeah.
And there's just those things that I've seen like connecting. Like, you can't ever take something away. It like will show up in other ways, like music or art or culture. You can't ever like oppress something fully. It would be like, nope, I'll slide out over here, you know?
What's really interesting, actually, and what it really is the idea that, you know, memory is passed down through our DNA. You know, all of the knowledge that we need to change the world, my grandfather says, you know, you don't need to go to university to educate yourself. We are the center of the universe. You are the university of the universe. And it's this really, really sacred idea, and this really sacred fact that, like, our memories are passed down through our DNA. and that's in the beautiful way that we're talking about right now, but then there's another side of it too, and that's also the traumas that we pass down to one another. And we need to, I think when we're talking about this specifically, we talk about intergenerational trauma. We don't talk about it as both sides. Yes, we've been passed down a lot of traumas, but we've also been passed down a lot of knowledge, and it's in our heart, it's in our blood, and as time, as I feel like we're coming out of this period as Indigenous people, we're really starting to move forward into this next chapter of what we are going to be, and we we have to start looking at those things.
So that's my next question. What does it look like? Because you've spoken on integrating your Western culture, which is obviously a part of you. You're an American person. You're just a person. You know what I'm saying? And like all people, you'll have different qualities or things that you enjoy. But how do you integrate in what I feel like is a society that is anti your culture? How do you integrate your culture and stand in that fully? And what does that look like now? Because you said you're moving back into that.
What's crazy is that I've always taken advice from the Black community on that. In unapologetic, show up. Just show up, be there in spaces where we're not normally invited, in spaces where I would never be seen or even asked to show up because of either the color of my skin, because of what I look like, my sexual orientation, a lot of the times because of my education level and what it says on my degree on the piece of paper that I have. I'm not normally invited to these places. And now after Standing Rock, I'm finding myself not necessarily being invited by the mass, but somehow getting a foot in the door and just having a presence in these places where we've never had a presence. And oftentimes, for example, I was in New York last week at the New York-New Jersey Harbor Estuary science program. And I asked one question the entire time. How are you including Indigenous people and Indigenous knowledge into this scientific way of life? Because it's time that we stop separating them, and it's time that we start working together. And what's crazy is I knew that the question was rhetorical, because they weren't including us. But it leaves room for them to say, what are we doing? Yes, and
to understand that they're missing out on a whole sector of knowledge as well.
Yes.
So I guess in a personal sense, and I guess also the future of what this looks like, your work looks like, what do you think the 7 generations, if you could cast I wish this for you, what would you ask for?
I would ask that ask of the 7th generation.
No, more just if you were to paint the picture of what that 7th generation looks like, you've worked for 7 generations.
What I see, and it's literally what I see happening. It's not even something that I can it is us breaking the cycles that we have inherited. Us honoring the past and how much work has been put in by so many of our elders and so many of the people that came before us, and honoring that, but also respectfully leaving some of it in the past and moving forward with only the best of what we have and the best of what we want to take into this next. And I think a lot of the pain, the hurt, we're ready to put it down. We're ready to grow from it. We're ready to really evolve into this, like I say, into this next evolutionary, whatever it is, level, however you want to see it, tier of who we want to be. And that's what I really see. I see the healing happening. I see us redefining what a warrior is.
Can I ask if there's ever, and maybe this is just me personally, but I feel like the Black people, the brown people, the Indigenous people that I speak to, they're all very much like peaceful people, like at their core. Like everyone loves, everyone understands like the connection to the community and the universe, and it seems like that is like inherent, like duh. Yet we're up against like colonialism and I'll say white supremacy and gentrification. You know what I'm saying? Like just the opposite. So what does that mean to you? What does that mean?
I mean, to say that I'm not pissed off would be a lie. It'd be a fucking lie. You know what I mean? Like, to say that I'm not angry would be it's not true. I'm hurt.
What do you do with that?
Well, see,
how do you transmute it to, like, because you're like, I want peace, I want harmony. You're not like, fuck everyone. So what work are you doing?
See, I think it's also the words we choose to use. I don't know that it's necessarily that I'm like, I want peace and I want harmony. It's I want balance. There's no balance right now, you know, and I feel like, you know, we talk so much about duality, you know, and part of me being able to present myself in the way that I do is being honoring of the anger that I do have, because it's a very valid emotion to have. Like, I feel like a lot of times the whole peace and harmony thing is it's not realistic to expect yourself to constantly be in a state of bliss. You know, it's like, okay. And so it's like honoring, okay, I'm angry. I've been hurt. I have been hurt. I've been hurt. My parents have been hurt. All of my brothers and sisters have been hurt. My people have been completely hurt. And acknowledging of that pain, because it's there. It's a part of us. All of the things that I've gone through in my life, all of the abusive relationships that I've been in, are a part of me. That darkness lives inside of me. And then from there you decide, okay, this is a part of me, this is a part of me, and this is a part of me. Now what do I want to feed? And what do I want to feed it? Very specifically, because I think for a long time I was feeding my anger and my frustration and my fear, and I was feeding it, honestly, alcohol. I was feeding it alcohol, I was feeding it depression, I was feeding it more anxiety, and very specifically the worst part of it was the alcohol. That was something that really, I'm really proud of it. I'm sober right now. I don't drink, and that's if you know Tomas and you've known the journey of Tomas, for Tomas to sit here and say that I'm sober, I don't drink, and still be able to go into the spaces that I do and do the things that I do and be crazy and fun, like, that's a really big step for me. But like, congrats. Feeding my darkness, my dark self, all of those things, it made a monster. And it got me to the point where I was not in control of my anger. I would lash out on people, and then I'd listen to myself later and be like, oh my God, what did you say, you know? And so now what I've been learning is I need to shrink that, accept that it's a part of me. It is who I am. But instead of feeding it the fear, the anger, the all of that, I feed it love. I surround it in happiness. I surround it in all of the things that make me feel good. But then I do that to all of the things in my life. So also my happiness, my joy, you know, my hopes, my dreams. I try to do that for all of those things. By no means am I perfect at it. I want to make that very clear. I am a student, and this is something I am practicing every single day, because, I mean, your spiritual journey is never ending. And
I just love the idea of, like, having two things that you're literally like feeding, like just that image of seeing, you know, for me it's a reflection. So me seeing myself just like feeding my anger, of course it's gonna grow, you know.
And you know what's crazy is that I had a dream that helped me understand this before I went to Vermont. I had a dream that I was at my old college party house. It's called the Kennel. It's freaking awesome. Shout out to everybody at the Kennel. Yeah. 1175 Le Pan.
Ayo.
Yeah. But the Kennel, yeah. I had a dream I was there, and I was like, oh, like, I'm not gonna lie, you were there. Like, all of these different people there, you were there. Like, anybody that I'd ever partied with was in this house with me. And they were all drinking from this big jug of liquid, and the liquid was like black. It looked like Jaeger. honestly. Like, and they kept telling me, like, it was a big jug, like a jug. I wouldn't even call it a bottle, it was a jug. Like, they were like, we're gonna stop partying when the bottle's gone. And they were like, hey, like, it seemed like so lit. And I was like, that's dope. I don't drink, but y'all do what you want to do, right? Well, every time they drink, it wouldn't
go anywhere.
The bottle would not, like,
was I
go
drinking
away.
This toxic?
Everybody was drinking. But listen to this. So I started having moments with everybody. And I had, like, in the dream, I had, like, a bunch of moments with people. And each moment, they would offer me to drink. And I would say no. And then I'd say no, they'd get angry at me. And they'd start bringing up all of these things that they felt that I did wrong to them. And I would be like, ouch, damn. No, it was like, ouch, you know, like, damn, that's how you feel about me, that I'm leaving. So I go to leave after I'm done talking to everybody. But before I leave, I look back. And when I look back at everybody, it's clear that everybody is not them. It's not them. It's like... And there was this, like, this man behind them, and I woke up.
This is incredible.
I woke up. So I figured out this.
Okay.
I have fed a very dark side of myself for so long, and now I finally have the strength to turn away from it. But I can turn away from it all I want. I can run through any door. I can try to go to any other dream that I want to. That's still going to exist. And by me just ignoring it and acting like it's not a part of my life, not doing the actual work that it takes to heal from what I've done to myself, what others have done to me to get to that, it wasn't really me healing. It was just me ignoring the fact that I'm an alcoholic. And so, like, I realized, like, and that is using the people that I love and the people that I my guilt for partying with people, my guilt for that against me. So I talked to a medicine woman, and she knew something was, like, going on, and, like, internally. She pulls me aside, and she tells me, and this is after I had just done a workshop on the importance of POC and youth involvement in movements when I was in Vermont. And she pulls me aside, and I tell her the dream, and she says, okay, well, I want you to understand that, like, I want you to turn all of those people in the dream, I want you to look back, I want you to turn all of those people into you. Because at the end of the day, you were saying those things to yourself. Those are things that you feel bad about, that you've done to these people. And you're holding that guilt to throw at yourself. You're using it to hurt yourself. She was like, so turn it into you. Now, it's angry. Obviously, this is an angry side of you. Now, I want you to love it. I want you to love it, and I want you to surround it in all of the love that you have. And slowly, I want you to picture that side of you getting smaller and smaller and smaller, until the point where it's literally gonna be like a baby, she told me. And she told me that I want you to take that baby, and I want you to put it next to all the rest of the parts of you, who you are, because it is who you are. And only when you can do that will you truly have control and have overcome that demon of yours. And she just laid it out for me, right? She puts it all on the table. God bless the matriarchy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and she just, like, tells me all of this. And I'm realizing that sobriety, my journey to this point, that is a part of my healing as a warrior of the 7th generation. That's been a part of my journey. And, you know, I sometimes I still beat myself up about my past, but I'm like, I don't regret any of it, and I wouldn't take any of it back, because now I can actually look at other young people and say, hey, here's my story. Take it, leave it, do what you want with it. But if you're ever in a situation that's similar to something that I was in, you might just think twice. You know, you might say, you know, maybe I shouldn't go into this, or maybe I should go into this. And yeah.
And also, I appreciate you, like, walking us through that tool, because hopefully somebody who's watching this podcast will be able to learn from that experience as well. And shout out to that lady. Shout out to the matriarchy.
Yes.
Hello.
I'm having a hard time thinking of her name right now, but
that's okay. We'll tag her in the comments.
I
later.
will. Yes.
Yeah. So this kind of brings up for me, and we talked about this last year, and I'm still like hurt. I'm still embarrassed by it, honestly, just because it was younger me. All right, here's the story. I'll let everyone know what happened between me and Tomas. So you had this red iPod, and I think it was like high school, or I don't know. Yeah, I think it was high school. And
I do not. I'm like,
yeah, no, we talked about it last year.
did we? Okay.
Yeah. So you had this red iPod, and I was like, man, I found it, and I was like, oh, cool. Like, I had been wanting an iPod for so long, and I was like, I don't know who this is, so I'm going to take it. But then later, both you and your cousin asked me about it. You were like, do you have my iPod? And I was like, no, I don't have it. I haven't seen it. I just like straight up lied to you. I felt so bad that I immediately like put it into the lost and found. I was like, I can't take this. It was like one of the, I feel so bad about this.
Oh my God, you shouldn't. You shouldn't.
I feel so bad about this. No, but it's like, it's real, man. I remember it was at, what was that spot?
Phillies.
No, what was that spot?
That was the spot.
No, the one by the train tracks that we were gonna throw the bee party at.
The vault.
No, the other one.
Walnut Road.
Nope, by the train tracks. By
Plaza Union.
by Metro, by Auraria campus.
By Auraria campus.
Yeah, the
Wasn't
body
your
talk
birthday-
space.
was it-
The beat.
Yeah, the beat.
That place was cool. What happened
was
to that
cool.
place?
A lot of stuff happened in
Okay.
that place. But, it's cool. Sometimes redirection is necessary in your life. You're not gonna get everything you want. It's cool, but you'll be redirected.
Shout out though. I think they're still open, and honestly, they're super tight. So check them out.
Yeah, check them out. It just wasn't the space for us, and I think that's okay. But we did have some cool parties there.
Oh my God, the history of spaces. Right? That's
So many great spaces in Denver.
Straight up.
It's amazing.
But I wanted to bring that up just because I think when I brought it up to you, I was like, man, I felt so bad about this. Like, I still feel bad about it, honestly. And I honestly have never, like, taken anything ever again. And, like, honestly, I just feel so bad. I don't know. But I appreciated your response, just being like, hey, man, it's cool. And, like, I don't know, kind of showing mercy in that moment, because I was like really scared to talk to you about it, but I did. And then I was like, man, you could say whatever. Like, you could just be like, fuck you, man, that was my favorite, But I don't know.
That I remember the iPod. It was a dope iPod, but no. Here's the thing. Like, I am like, I'm the type of person where it's not what you do, it's what you do after. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like the fact that someone can come to you and just say like, hey, I stole
When I was
this.
a little
yeah,
kid,
I was, I did
fucked
this.
up.
Like, it says a lot about a person. And I'm going to be real with you. Like, I've done some crazy ratchet shit myself. And, I think that I always look at it in the sense of like, if I went to anybody, some of the things that I've done, what's the response I would want to get? And I pray that most people, would be like, both laugh about it, because at the end of the day, it's not that bad, but it's pretty ratchet. You know what I mean? It's so great.
I learned a valuable lesson that day, and I think it was like when you said it's like you can look at your past and be like, I'm grateful for it. I am grateful for that because I know how it feels to like hurt somebody because of that moment, and I felt instantly just like, damn, this is not good. So
I've lost so many electronics in my life. I'm like numb to it at this point. It's horrible.
yeah. Well, I mean, I just I appreciated that. It was like, it was hard to talk about, but I'm glad we did, and I think it was nice to like get past that point, because I don't know if we had ever really had that moment of talking about it. I remember it was like senior year even. I was just like almost leaving. I think it was like either my junior year, like I was leaving high school. I think it was my junior year. Like it was like right around summer break. So I was just like, oh, this is a cool iPod. But then when you asked me about it, I was like, oh shit.
Oh shit.
I was like, I can't steal this. So
No, that's good. I mean, you probably got good karma for that, so.
maybe, I hope so. I mean, it was a cool iPod.
Was
but
it
I
in the
finally
Lost
got
and
my
Found?
own
'Cause-
iPod. Well, I think you had like left it. So I literally found it, and I was like, "Oh, this is tight."
Oy, my mother
then I
would
was
be
like- Whose is this? But then when you asked me about it, I was just like, "No, I don't."
you know,
I don't know
my
what
mother
you're
would
talking about.
would have taken that time to point out my flaws. You know what I mean? My mother would have been like, okay,
Oh, you left
thank
it,
you, John,
yeah.
you're such a good young man, but can we talk about how Tomas left his iPod? Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's cool, dude. I mean, yeah, my parents, they're big on forgiveness. Actually, my dad and I were just talking about this. He's like, you know what, Tomas, even if you don't fully forgive somebody, you always leave the door open for the forgiveness to be there. You always leave, you know, unless they really do something that is just so unforgivable, you always leave a bridge there to for anyone to redeem themselves in any way.
That's dope, man.
Yeah, and I think that goes to the point of like, am I angry at the world? Yeah, I am angry, but I keep hope. I keep that forgiveness because it's easier for me to forgive. It's easier for me to grow. It's easier for me to not become my oppressor than to give in to all of that and then eventually hurt somebody else, which will just lead them hurting me again and then me hurting them.
And
the
you want to
cycle.
break the cycle.
We're breaking the cycle, yeah.
Man, you're a dope dude. Like, for real.
Thanks.
How much time do we have? What time is it?
You've got plenty of time.
All right.
You've got like 25 minutes, but Amy McGrath says...
Amy McGrath.
Yeah, she says, 2 humans I love. So happy to have known you both since you were a kid. Proud of you guys.
Proud of.
Oh, I
Both of
love
us.
Amy.
Yeah.
And-
Shout out
and-
Miss McGrath.
Yes.
Hannah Barker says, thank you for sharing your journey of healing. I love this.
That's
And
dope.
Sakil has just said she respects and loves a bunch of things Tomas has mentioned.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm here, like, I wanted this podcast to be humbling for me personally, just because I wanted to showcase, like, my journey and also offer the opportunity to be a space for, like, healing and all of those things that may be uncomfortable but also are real, you know? So I appreciate you kicking this off with me.
Yeah, no, I want to thank you because I'm not going to lie, like, I this sounds so pretentious. Okay, I travel, like, everywhere. I go to all these other communities, and I do all this work with these people. And people are always like, what's the hardest thing you do? And I'm like, get into my own community. Like, it's like a lot of people in my own community have no idea what I do. Like, I swear to God, even some of the people I'm closest to think that I just, like, sit at home and, like, I'm like crazy Instagram, which is like that's what I put on Instagram because to be honest with you, I don't want to put every single thing that I'm doing on Instagram. So it's like people think that I do, and I'm like, y'all are really funny. Like you only see about
You got a pretty extensive social media, like you're pretty good on social media though.
Yeah, no, I do love social media for sure, but I mean,
there's a part
there's
of you
so
that's more.
much,
Okay.
there's so much other stuff that's going on
That's
that it's
cool.
like, okay, I'm gonna take a picture of that, but there's
Like this whole
so much other stuff going on, and I think my whole life I've been really keen on like, let me make this look easy. Because I don't want people to think that I'm actually struggling, which I struggle a lot with a lot of things that I do, and I find myself like a hard time asking new people for help. You know what I mean? Like I will exhaust my own resources until it's like the end of it. And so I don't know. Lately I've been really learning like, okay, you need to quit acting like this is super easy and that you're just not doing anything. Because the work that I'm doing is a lot more extensive and a lot more. It's a lot harder than I guess people understand.
The out here work, or like, is it the internal work too?
It's all of it. You know, I think working with young people, you know, is really difficult, especially working with young people of color. You encounter a lot of things sometimes what feels like helplessness. You know, like a lot of times I feel like I'm doing so much work and like nothing is happening. Like I'm not, you know, it's like it's nothing that I can measure in a status report or like something I can type up in an email. And so it's hard for me to, and I think it's hard for other people sometimes to understand.
Quantify it?
Yeah, to quantify what it is that we're doing. And it's like,
If you were the measure, how would you quantify it?
I would quantify it in the number of, God, this is so morbid. I would quantify it in the number of funerals that I don't have to go to. In all honesty,
that's not morbid at all. I think that's great.
Like, there was a point in time where, like, and honestly, if you ask any Indigenous young people that was honestly has been born since the 80s, there's a period of time in their life where it was like you're going to a funeral like sometimes 3 times a week, and it's all for people under the age of 25, and it's just like it's sad, it's hard, and like I think when I was about 21, 22, I really started to see it. I really started to be like, okay, why are these funerals becoming so normalized to me? Why is it that, like, I'm like, who's gonna kill themselves next, almost? You know what I mean? And it was like, it was just crazy. And like, I think that's really when I started to realize, like, I need to do something. Like, as somebody who had the fortunate, privilege of growing up in a traditional household with 2 parents who were sober, who were older, and were able to provide me with things that they a lot of younger parents can't provide their kids, to have such a strong sense of self. I've started to feel like an obligation. I have to help my people. I can't just continue to, get for me and not help somebody else when I have the ability to help others. In whatever way that is. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to get into the front lines like I do and get crazy. Sometimes it means just mentoring other young people and showing other young people, telling young people that you care about them, that they're seen, that their voice is valid, that they have purpose. It's so cliche. It seems like, just one word could save somebody's life. No, it's true. Like, one word can really save these kids' lives. These young people, specifically young people of color, they don't feel validated. They don't feel purpose. They feel sad. And when you don't have purpose, what on earth would keep you in that place of not having purpose?
So what flipped that switch for you? What turns your fire on, I guess? Or what was it? Was
you know what's
moment?
Crazy? Yeah, there was a moment. Actually, I remember specifically what the moment was. I had gone to South Dakota, and I'd found out that one of my Sundance brothers, Todd Littlebull, had been killed, and it wasn't a suicide, but it was to me at this weird time, because it was like one Native brother killing himself. Killing his, it was like the same people doing it to each other, and something just, the sadness of it, to see his brothers, to see his sisters, to see his cousins hurting and in that pain, and then to almost see myself in what had happened, even though I had nothing to do with any of it, and to see a reflection of all of these different things. Something just told me, like, oh my God, like, I can't do this anymore. I cannot bury somebody else. And I remember I had been in South Dakota for about 3 weeks, and I hadn't used my phone, hadn't gotten on social media, and I came home and I got this, like, just bombarded by, like, social media and, like, people's, like, quick attention that I felt it, and I was like, like, oh my God, like, it is like this culture shock. It is culture shock, exactly. And I experienced the same thing when I came home from Standing Rock. And it's like I had to, like, slowly get back into what I was doing here in the Western society. But I really realized in that moment, something that we say is our existence is our resistance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe in that.
By me being here, I'm resisting. Mm-hmm. But I cannot resist alone and expect to win. Mm-hmm. So I have to make sure that my brothers and sisters are also existing. That, that they feel like they are being a part of this resistance, that they have purpose in whatever way that I can do that. And I find that being able to do that in many different ways. As I get older and I gain more, I have more to offer these young people. And being a part of the youth council, which was not something I had asked for. It was kind of something that just fell into, kind of came to me. I saw something that needed to be done. I picked it up and I pushed it forward. Not just me, a group of people.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought there.
I mean, no, that was, I think, my next question after that was, because I don't know, I've definitely watched you come into yourself, and I've been able to see a lot of those pieces and parts of you that you're talking about. Like, I think when I say you live a very strong social media presence, I think you are a voice and you use your platforms well. Like, whether it's talking about Indigenous rights or fashion or, even gay rights, which I don't think you've talked about as much, honestly.
Yeah, no, I haven't. Actually, so, the really cool thing about the Youth Council, and I feel like I just forget to mention this, is that we were started and founded by Two-Spirit and Two-Spirit people and women.
Can you explain, because I know a little bit about that, but can you explain to our followers what that is?
Yeah, so, I know everybody knows what a woman is, so, I hope. So I identify as a Two-Spirit man. I have, which sounds weird, right? A Two-Spirit man. I identify as a Two-Spirit man. And it's kind of, I guess my identity has a bit of a Western influence, because my whole life I identified as a male. I knew that I had a very feminine energy and a very feminine presence, and I was always very honoring of that. But I kind of just grew up calling myself a boy. And so now that I'm older, I think just by habit, I call myself a man, even though I really would probably say that I'm more along the lines of being non-gender conforming. And sometimes I look at myself and I walk outside and I'm like, I would look like a beautiful woman today. And
you were wearing a wig last night.
I was wearing a beautiful wig last night. I believe in the power of hair, yo.
I think there is so many limiting things about our culture, like masculinity, femininity. I think all of those constructs and constraints, more so than constructs, are very limiting. So I think, you definitely represent to me somebody who's brave and somebody who's willing to be themselves. And, even in this conversation, just learning more about you, but I do think that you are a presence that outwardly shows that, and it comes through you, and I think it's so strong, and I think you will continue to inspire not only me, but also other people who, may be wanting to get more into themselves, learn more about their heritage, learn more about their traditions, all of that.
Yeah, very specifically, I think what's crazy is that in Western society, when we talk about sex and gender, it's more about sex. It has more to do with the physical aspect of, what you identify as. And in most indigenous cultures, sex and gender, yes, okay, there is what you have, but the most important part is your spirit. What your spirit identifies as, that is ultimately more important than what they see is between your legs. And I think that that's the thing about Western culture, when we talk about sex and gender, that's kind of what, and I see that brainwashing still come through. I call myself a man, still identify as a male, when really I probably more my spirit more identifies as both. As a very balanced beam of feminine and masculine. And really that's what the Two-Spirit means. In Nawa, it's the Ometeo, which means two spirits. And it's almost the yin and yang. It's the idea that you have both of those things inside of you. In most indigenous cultures, specifically the Lakota people, they called them the Winktes, and they were very prized high members of society. The idea that someone can see have the perspective of both a man and a woman. that gives great insight to people who are married and who, someone who identifies as a man and someone who identifies as a woman might struggle seeing the other side of that. And so to go to these people and hold them in a place of society where they had respect, it is almost a polar opposite of the society that we live in today.
Right.
And
especially, it shows in how we treat people who are not just binary.
Yeah. And what's crazy is I went to DSA, I grew up in Denver.
Did you feel like it was weird there at DSA?
See, I think the indigeneity, the two-spirit side of it, that was weird. Like, if I would have come in and started talking to people about spirit and, it would have been, way weird to people. I don't think they would have... Maybe not. Maybe I just thought it would have been weird because of the culture that I was living in, the two worlds that I was living in.
I think we do have a lot... because of the internet, we have a lot more acceptance and understanding of things that are not just, straight white cis male culture.
Yeah, and I don't know. It was
keeping it real on my fucking podcast. I don't give a fuck.
No, absolutely. I mean,
calling it by name.
Yeah, I mean, I have to always remind myself that I too have been a victim of toxic masculinity. I too have produced toxic masculinity, and I think a part of that journey of going through that was me not wanting to explain that to people. Me keeping that to myself and just being I don't want to tell you because fuck you. More of and I think that's kind of why I wouldn't tell people about stuff like that. I felt because I was ashamed or that everybody was ashamed of it. And really it was just something that I was more ashamed of.
And you can speak to people
that's so real.
That could be huge.
I mean, a lot of the times when we think, when we're oh my god, someone is looking at the zit on my face, no one is looking at the zit on your face. What you're really saying is, oh my god, I can't stop looking at the zit on my face. It's crazy how we project how we feel and what's going on inside on the other people around us, when really, the people around you probably see nothing but light and love. And, that's how you...
That's what they should see. Or else they're a hater. Or they're I have something in me. Yeah, it's always yeah. But are there any more questions?
No.
Not at the moment?
Well, I just want to, so very specifically to my two-spirit and LGBTQ plus community, I want people to really start reclaiming that power in society. A lot of times, especially in the POC community, we are not given a voice. We are ignored, and we are treated like we are not a part of the community in some way. We're not cousins with people, and we're not, we're not really, we're not given a voice. And part of that is the patriarchy and toxic masculinity. The idea that someone who carries feminine energy can be of service, that can be strong, that can be, is very threatening to a lot of that. When I went to Standing Rock, I very much felt that. I very much felt a sense of homophobia, but I never let it stop me. I never once thought to myself, oh God, I'm gay, I can't step up and say anything to these people. I knew that some people would look at me strange, and some people would be like, what? Because they've never heard a gay man, a lesbian woman, a trans person really stand up and say, I don't care what you say to me. I don't care how you feel about me. I don't care about your own phobias. I'm going to speak because my voice is valid and nobody can rob me of that, is really strong. And what's really funny is that at the end of the day, all of those people that may have thought that they felt some type of way about gay men and gay women, once they saw me stand up and actually speak, actually demand that area, I gained a level of respect from them. And they started to see me as not just that gay kid, they started to actually see me as the indigenous two-spirit person that I was presenting myself as. And so I want all young people that identify as two-spirit, LGBTQ, trans, anything, do not be afraid to step up. Do not be afraid to let your voice heard. Know when to. I mean, if it's not safe, obviously, I want to advocate for everybody being safe, risk reduction. But if you can step up and you can overcome the fear and you can be a voice, you might actually begin that healing and break that cycle of homophobia in our communities. And so I just wanted to say that little part. That's one. I mean, I feel like I haven't really heard of many Indigenous Two-Spirit people stepping up until recently. I've been learning about more, but I want young people to know, like, we're out here, and, like, you know, Indigenous Two-Spirit people are running shit, and, like, we are really doing what we need to do, and we're in the communities, and we care about our people. And if any of our young people ever need anything to talk about, you know, we're out here. I'm sure, John, if you ever need to reach out to John, if you ever need to reach out to Ryan, if you ever need to reach out to me, you can always write us, and I'm sure we're happy to answer any questions, or even just talk to you, listen to you if we have to, because we care about our communities. And I think that that's one really big thing about public figures, is that a lot of the public figures that we had growing up, I don't think they really cared about us that much. I think they put the illusion that they cared about us, but in all reality, they cared about making money. And I want to break that cycle as well, and really show that our LGBTQ plus communities, our POC communities, any marginalized community, any person that feels like they've ever been hurt, you know, that we care, and we're here for you. We're willing to listen and guide you in any way that we can.
Can we just check Instagram and Facebook real quick? If we have any questions, okay, feel free to send us some questions. I want to ask one more question to you.
Yeah.
You've always been really dope with your fashion and style. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I would say in the last 2 years, I've really stepped more into understanding how to express myself through fashion. I have a really good story. When I was in Standing Rock, I met a young woman who was like, you know, I don't believe in, I don't really like fashion. I think that people who are into fashion, I think you just have to share it and restart it.
Do you want me to do that?
Oh, let me see. Moment.
Your Facebook is still live, but...
Oh, yeah. Let's do it. Oh, I gotta just sign it back in. Go live again. Okay. All right. Sorry.
No, you're good. She said to me, I don't like fashion. I don't think because I was talking about how I'm trying not to buy basic clothing that
like
is
brand stuff, or
basic stuff that was made in China, Bangladesh, any of these countries that
like sweatshop.
It's slave labor, and also trying to really look at what companies are environmentally conscious, because a lot of companies, H&M, Forever 21, Zara, they're extremely environmentally unconscious. They do not care at all about what they're doing to the earth. They don't care about. Yeah, it's pretty bad. And so this young woman is telling me, you know, I never really liked fashion. I never really got into it, and I don't understand why you would put that much effort into just a shirt. And I looked at her and I was like, do you consider yourself an activist? And she said, yeah. And I said, okay. Are you here to fight for your water? She said, yeah. I said, do you believe that people deserve to get paid a fair wage and for the work that they do? She said, yeah. I said, do you believe that people deserve health insurance? She said, yeah. I said, okay, well, if you believe in all of those things, then you should care about what you put on your back, because it may just be a tag that says made in China, but that little tag that says made in China represents a whole lot of slave labor and a whole lot of kids that didn't get paid, and a whole lot of kids that are indentured servants, and a whole lot of kids that don't get, when they slice their hand open, and that is that. Like, they don't get to go to the doctor. They don't have health insurance. But when you buy something that says made in America, made in France, even honestly made in Mexico, like is pretty decent. Like, you are actually paying that person who made that a decent wage. And yeah, it's gonna be more expensive. A shirt that you think should only be $5 is now gonna be $25. But that means that a portion of that is going to someone who probably is very poor to actually get paid a wage that they deserve. And she looked at me and she was like, I was like, and on top of that, how many of those shirts were made wrong and then just thrown into the...
Just somewhere.
Just discarded.
Sent to Africa.
How many of these didn't sell and got put on a shelf somewhere and just thrown away after? I was like, when you buy something, and I kind of explained to her, you know, how fashion works. And it's like, it's not just clothes. It's so much deeper than that. You know, it's supporting livelihood and people to actually learn how to do things for themselves. How many people, if we couldn't go buy shoes, would know how to make shoes?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I was like, man, I gotta like figure out just how to be like honestly self-sustaining.
You know how many guys I know, like, I mean, no offense guys, but like literally wear their socks until they're dirty and then like throw them away.
What?
Yes, like I've known guys to literally be like, it's dirty, I don't know how to wash it, I'm throwing it away. Like,
I thought you meant like with holes and
I
shit.
got that kind of sock money.
well, I'm even like you like people who get little holes in their shirts and they're like, it's trash. I'm like, no, you could totally sew it. Like,
I think it was Chris Brown who didn't wear the same shirt twice. He was like, once I wear this, it's done.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
It's waste.
And so she looked at me and I was like, and not only that, I told her, but to me, what I put on the outside of my body is an expression of what I feel on the inside of my body.
Mm.
Straight up. When I'm feeling sad and when I'm like, I will straight up like hide myself. When you don't want to be seen, you can use the stuff you put on your body to hide your spirit, to hide yourself. Or you can use the stuff on your body to personify something. When you want to personify sex and you want to you will use the sexual parts of your body and you will show them more than you would if you wanted to be reserved. And I explained to her that I was like, you know, it's not, this is your temple. Adorn it as such. And she's and so that's what I told her. The other thing that I told her is like, how do you pay homage to the people that came before you? One way for me to do that is to wear it, is to show people we existed through these fabrics. We existed through this beadwork. We exist through doing our hair this certain way, you know, and reminding people that is we still exist and we exist in this modern culture.
Can you play a song for us?
Yeah, dude. So
Do you have time?
Yeah, you've got as much time as you want.
Yeah. So
Yeah, please talk to us about.
Now I'm gonna take this off now. So
This is such a dope podcast.
I was
Shut the fuck.
I'll tell the story of this.
I love it.
This drum. This drum was given to me by a dear friend of mine named Keenan Bloom. And Keenan Bloom is he's a very, very, very traditional Jewish man. And he was given the honor to come to Sundance with us, which is one of our New Year's Lakota ceremony. And when he came out with us, he really developed a strong connection to us. Well, he had found this drum, and it's made of buffalo. And it's rare that these hand drums are actually made of buffalo hide. And he said, you know, this was supposed to be for Lakota people, or it was supposed to be for Indigenous people, and I want to give it to you. I think that you need to have it. And this was right before I had graduated from college, and so I took this to Standing Rock with me, and this went through Standing Rock with me. What's funny is if you look at it, there's white like powder on the outside and kind of on it. Our tent burned down while we were in it one day, and they used to put it out, and this got saved. So it's got lots of memories on it. It's been pretty used too, so if it sounds a little dull, that's why. You have to bring them alive, you have to warm them up, or else they kind of sound a little like dull. And these hand drums are used for lots of different things. A lot of people will probably know them for the round dances that they do. If any of you want to check out a really awesome hand drum singer and also a hip hop artist, his name is Anton Edwards Jr. You should go check him out. He is an amazing hand drum singer, hand drum player, and also an amazing hip hop artist. So go check him out. So this song I'm going to sing, this is the No Dapple song that was created while we were living in Standing Rock. And the lyrics are, Unshimaka Yohaniapo, Mini Wichoni Wakanyelo. So, Unshimaka Yohaniapo, Mother Earth, She is beautiful. She is all giving. Mini wichoni wakayelo, and the water is life. Water is sacred. DAPL Lila Sinchayelo, which is Dakota Access Pipeline, is bad. It's bad for the land. It's bad for all of us. And then Oyate Blehichiapo, which is but the people will come together. And so so this song, this is my own rendition of it. So some people might know a different version of it, but this is how I like to sing it. So this is
how we're gonna do it.
This is how we're gonna do it.
Woo! Thank you.
Yeah.
That was amazing. I feel like, I don't know, I feel so good. Mini Wachoni, I remember that. Water is life.
Water is life. Yeah, it's interesting when you speak the language of the Turtle Island, what happens to the earth. You'll notice when you speak your own language, when you speak the language of where you come from, you'll vibrate on a different frequency.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, I don't know how to describe this.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy is I knew, growing up, I knew that. I knew that. But I guess, unfortunately, I had to see it to be proven that it was real. And when I went to Standing Rock,
dude, that's so incredible.
I totally realized, literally, even what we just did now, what we're doing now, it's a ceremony. You know, we behind every single one of us is 1,000 ancestors waiting to speak, to get the microphone. And when we speak, when we do these things, we ask them to come to speak through us. And that's why everything that we do right now is really important. The way that we move is really important. We're in we are in and living the prophecy of the 7th generation. That is every single one of us. And we have to be treating these things that we're doing, when we vote, when we go to the front lines, when we march, when we come together, we have to start treating them as ceremonies. We need to start walking as the spirit that we are. And that was something that Standing Rock taught me, reminded me, that before I am man, before I am this body, I am spirit. And I have to honor that. And knowing that when you understand that literally you waking up is a ceremony. You going to bed is the end of that ceremony. Once you begin to understand that everything that you do is a ceremony, it's you, starting something new. It's you ending that. You begin to really understand your movements and the importance of the way that you move, and that it's okay to be fun and crazy and wild and indulge in the fun aspects of life. But when you put that into it, you also have to put in the work and, the healing, the time to be quiet, the time to listen, the time to heal. And, I think that's something that as Indigenous people we're reintroducing, into this world, the idea of spirit. Spirit is science, and so. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that with me. Thank you for sharing that with my followers. I'm sure Ryan had a great time chilling. That's it, man. Yeah. That was episode 1. You were my first guest.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Hell
I appreciate it. So I want to I need to send you a shirt later. So let me know which one you want.
Okay.
And for all of my
Give me that
Facebook
one,
friends. Okay, here we go. Please click the link in my bio.
Y'all know I want this pink one.
We got the shirts, KID Astronaut shirts. I'm gonna give every guest of my podcast, and I'll give you one, Ryan.
Dude, this is gonna look so good with my pink wig.
Sweet. So please go to my link and grab one. We got 1212 at Glow Paul with Kayla Marquis. Shalom. I have not met Dylan yet, but this should be a dope show. But thank you guys for tuning in to the very first KID Astronaut Podcast.
One more thing.
Yes.
If anybody is interested in the International Indigenous Youth Council and getting involved with us, we are always looking for young people. We offer internship opportunities, travel opportunities, and opportunities to get involved and give back to not only your own community but other communities on an international scale.
And I'll put your links everywhere.
Dope. So if you're interested, this Saturday we are going to be having a kickback where we are going to be watching this really dope video about some stuff that went on in Standing Rock and also about water. We're going to have free food, and so if any of our youth want to come, it's going to be at Heal Denver, and you can go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/IIYC family, and you can find information there, or you can go to our website at www.indigenousYouth.org.
Yes.
Yeah. So just if anyone's interested.
Thank you guys. That was it. Much love.